And today's keynote speaker and honorary degree recipient is a role model for this kind of partnership. You might say that John Mollenhauer was born into the construction industry. After some initial experience in real estate, he managed the family firm from 1984 to 1993. The Mollenhauer group of companies was consistently among Canada's top 10 largest construction companies, with annual volumes that measured in the hundreds of millions. He followed this as President and Chief Executive Officer of Cityplex Resources, a Toronto-based property and construction management consulting firm. Then, in 2006, John turned his full attention to the promotion of the construction industry in Toronto and became the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Toronto Construction Association. Established in 1867, the TCA is Canada's oldest and largest construction association with 2,200 member companies and over 300,000 industry practitioners. Its mandate is to promote the highest possible standards of professionalism in the construction industry. As part of this mandate, the TCA has helped to found the Construction Institute of Canada, of which John is the President and Vice Chancellor. That provides ongoing professional development for the Canadian construction industry's 1.3 million practitioners. But what I really want to tell you is that no matter how busy John is, and he is very busy, he finds time for education and for George Brown College. His leadership in launching the annual Cross-Canada Student Bid Competition for post-secondary construction students has provided many students with a real-life experience and, just as importantly, mentorship by industry leaders. John has paved the way for George Brown through his support of various initiatives, such as our Green Building Center and the various applied research initiatives. When the recession hit in 2008, he personally went out to the membership to assist us in ensuring that we would have sufficient co-op positions for our students. John was part of the group who launched our construction management degree program and continues to sit on the Construction Management Program Advisory Committee. In spite of his very busy schedule, he rarely misses a meeting and is always an active participant. John graduated from Ryerson University in project management and from Queen's University in civil engineering. He sits on several boards and received a fellowship from the UK-based Chartered Institute of Building, CIOB, that recognizes his significant contribution to the industries during his 35-year tenure. It's my great pleasure to welcome John as our keynote speaker.
Madam Chancellor, Madam President, members of the Platform Party, graduates, George Brown faculty and staff, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to begin this morning by thanking you for inviting me to be part of the graduation celebration today. I'm also profoundly grateful that I am to receive an honorary degree from George Brown College, which you can be sure will be proudly displayed on my office wall. June 11th, 2015 is a very special day for several reasons. For the graduates, today you celebrate one of the most significant milestones in your lives, the prize you have literally worked your butts off to obtain, graduation. For friends and families, today is about unfathomable pride. And lest we forget, for the faculty and staff of George Brown College, who've dedicated their lives to helping students like you, rest assured that they too will long remember today with an enormous sense of pride. I mentioned during my introduction how grateful I am to receive an honorary degree, and there are a couple of reasons for that. The first relates to what I do, and I'm here in large part today because of what I do. In my capacity as President and CEO of the Toronto Construction Association, I'm one of the principal beneficiaries of a long-standing strategic partnership with GBC's Centre for Construction and Engineering Technologies, which is a unique collaboration that has paid far greater dividends than any of us ever thought possible. Perhaps the greatest legacy of our decades-old partnership with GBC was Canada's first Bachelor of Applied Technology degree in Construction Science and Management, which, as you know, was formally launched in September of 2005 and resulted in a nomination in 2007 for the prestigious ACAATO Award in Community Corporate Partnership in the Partnership category. Sorry, forgive me for a second. And for that, the 2,200 companies that we represent at TCA are very proud. We're also very proud of our ongoing collaboration on all aspects of industry-related program development at GBC, from developing curriculum to recruiting staff and marketing construction programs to potential students. And for the record, CCET's program to develop and test materials and processes, improve and validate construction methods, and commercialize locally developed products is an unprecedented research and innovation initiative in Canada, and a classic example of the enormous dividends paid by successful corporate community partnerships. The second reason that I am particularly grateful for the degree I've received today is despite the decades that have elapsed since I last received a degree, I'm still acutely aware of the road you have to hoe to make it successfully to graduation. In fact, I'd like to take a moment and reflect on my tenure as a student and share a story or two you might enjoy. My undergraduate experience began at Queen's University in 1973. I had just graduated from Upper Canada College, which in itself felt like a monumental achievement. Moreover, I had somehow been accepted into the civil engineering program at Queen's, which, notwithstanding my unlikely acceptance, had historically held to a very high academic standard. As a consequence, I believed myself literally capable of anything when I arrived in Kingston for Frosh Week. First-year civil engineering in those days at Queen's had a 40% failure rate, but that didn't bother me because I was invincible, or so I thought. So I did what smarter people opted not to do. I decided that the 40 hours of classes a week was not going to diminish my athletic pursuits, and I couldn't think of a single reason why I couldn't also manage varsity football in the fall and varsity hockey in the winter. Imagine my surprise when I finished dead last. Actually, technically, I was dead last of the students that passed. Second year was dramatically different. Older and now much wiser, I gave up varsity sports altogether, and my parents saw the first ever spark of maturity. And the first term in second year went pretty well. So well, in fact, that I decided it couldn't hurt to set a little time aside to compete in the Canadian Freestyle in Banff. After all, skiing didn't take nearly the time that football and hockey consumed. In any event, to make a long story short, my good judgment paid off, and there was a noticeable improvement. I finished second from dead last. By coincidence, math is my best subject, although you would never know that from my grades. As a result, it wasn't hard for the uber-competitive me to calculate that I was only going to move towards the top of the class if I remained an undergraduate student until well into the next millennium. And that didn't cut it. The good news for me was that even though I was stupid slow on the uptake, and obviously a horrible listener, I was surrounded by mentors, my parents included, who wanted to help. The advice I most remember came from a coworker on a construction site during a summer break from school, who told me that it doesn't matter much how many times you fall down, as long as it is one fewer than that you get back up. He also reminded me that the only place success comes before work is in the dictionary. It turns out that my laborer friend was right, and for once I listened. In fact, I did eventually bear down, and when I did eventually graduate, it was ironically first overall. Obviously, we all have stories about our undergraduate experience, and I expect in their own way, they are all remarkable. Today, however, that chapter of our lives ends, and your graduation actually represents a new beginning. And what you do with your life and how you do it going forward will not only be a reflection of you and all that you've become, but it will also reflect favorably on your family and on the good folks at George Brown College that have helped to shape you. So do us all proud. Strive always to go from good to great. Be insatiable, curious, and unafraid. Arnold Schwarzenegger, during his commencement address at USC in 2009, reminded the graduating class that you don't climb the ladder of success with your hands in your pockets, which was remarkably profound coming from a cyborg. And have a little fun along the way, you deserve it. Congratulations again, and may your road to success be devoid of potholes.
Thank you, John. I would now like to ask President Ann Sato to come to the podium to say a few words about this year's recipient of the Honorary Bachelor of Technology in Construction Management.
Thank you, Mr. Mollenhauer, not only for that encouraging address and honest stories, but for your leadership in the construction sector and your commitment to advancing education and professional development in your field. Your passionate support and advocacy for the next generation of construction professionals has moved us to present you with an Honorary Bachelor of Technology degree in Construction Management. Whether serving on a program advisory committee or supporting new initiatives like building information modeling, you are a constant champion of George Brown. And since you were instrumental in the launch of the Construction Management degree program, it's only fitting that you receive this honorary degree today. It is with great pleasure that I congratulate you on joining a long legacy of distinguished George Brown graduates. Would you please come forward, and I'll ask our Chancellor and Dean as well, as I present you with your new degree.